Alright, we're working on round 3 that seemed to come in a little late. It's supposed to have been done by 6 o'clock, but we had thunder and lightning at like 6 o'clock and the puddles are not bouncing around like they usually. Oh my god, do we have clear sky? Oh my fucking lord, we do. Hooray! Storm fronts be weird. Morning. Technically not clear sky. Well, there's still drippies happening. There's still very lights. This is sprinkles. Yeah. But definitely enough to obviously record on. Aaron got wrapped up into a little topic this morning on his computer because I really don't know where his brain went with far left to bilingual mass transit. Like, this is the...
Explain the train of thought if you'd like.
Speaking of trains, he already explained the train of thought to me. It still doesn't quite make sense, in a way. But we're moving on to the topic of... I tried to... Because he wanted to find a place that doesn't have English as a... Because on our Macs, if, you know, more regular viewers know when I've been on the Macs, there's been... You know, it's like, doors to my left, puertas a mi izquierda. It's like, okay, we have a secondary in Spanish. Well, are there places that do it in English? Well, there's probably, because they did it in Turkey.
Yeah.
So he wondered if there are places that don't do it, that they only have it in their primary language. And I'm like, so he found out that, oh, the smallest thing, the country with the smallest percentage of English speakers is China. And I'm like, well, no shit. It's 0.0 or 0.7% of the population. I was like, that's like 7.3 million people. That's twice our metro area, dude. 3 times our metro area.
It's half of Istanbul.
Whatever, but
It's about the same number.
The thing is like I described before, 14 million people. It's because it's so huge and it's a sprawling city. It's different than what we think of here.
Yeah.
You know, Wikipedia probably says, yes, it's 14 million people, but much like around here, they look at this population of Portland like, wow, that's pretty small, but you got to think of the Portland metro area because that's what we consider it.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let's ask Leo. Well, he asked Japan. And I'm like, no, Japan's pretty bilingual. And we fucked their shit up like a while back. This isn't anything like Germany and then went, oh wait, we fucked their shit up like the same time ago. Well, let me ask Leo. I literally have people that live in Germany that are awake right now and I will ask him. So I asked him a question. He's like, my what? And I'm like, shit, he doesn't understand what mass transit train is. I'm like, here we call it light rail, and I'm recording so I can't necessarily check my phone. But do you want to explain anything?
The only thing I'd explain is my train of thought getting from left-wing extremists to bilingual trains.
Well, I guess we'll talk about left-wing extremists then, because like I said, I don't want to rehash that entire thing, because it's just sort of like, right, sure, okay. I couldn't figure, the news, at least in the States, I know there's people that watch outside of the country. So we're having a lot of news about our right-wing extremists. And
not just ours, everyone's.
Well, mostly ours. I mean, we get ISIS and we get the Christian one, but I don't really hear about Germans' right-wing extremists. No offense. I could if I listened to BBC or Al Jazeera, or if I actually watch German news, but regardless, I hear a lot about right-wing extremists. I understand that because of the spectrum, left-wing extremists has to exist. And I'm like, I never hear much about them. Which always has to be like, if you don't hear much about them, maybe you are one. And you're not here, and you're not like, you know, if you were born and raised in a storm, do you know that do you know that you're in a storm? When all you hear about is another storm? You never hear about the in-between the storms, really? Anyways, yeah, I confused the fuck out of myself with that one. That metaphor was going someplace really good, and I felt really good about it, and then all of a sudden it just like...
It got away from you.
It was Sisyphus and the boulder ran over him and picked up half his body and drug it down with him.
doing it again.
All right, Leo just got back to me and said, he says, okay, I don't know exactly, but in the bigger cities they do. Which is understandable, because I know Vancouver's buses don't, because the guy has to announce.
But Vancouver doesn't have light rail.
Because they keep fucking voting it down. Ooh. So yes.
Weirdly, like we keep hearing that Canada's fully bilingual, everything has to be bilingual. I don't think I ever heard a French station announcement on their SkyTrains.
That's probably because they call them sky trains. They're not real trains, they're sky trains.
But they're also completely automated. So, maybe I just...
SkyTrain, Skynet, Skynet. Skynet, not Skynet. Skynet was our old property company.
Yeah. One letter.
Are the puddles getting bigger?
Yes.
Oh. By the way, I saw when I was coming back from the store around that road, there was someone stopped here because they weren't sure if they wanted to turn into the burn or not, but I was able to stop momentarily and I saw, and there was like geese doing this. They were like kicking the water up, and then like they'd stop, plunge their head straight down like an ostrich, pull it up, wiggle their head, and then they'd kick their feet like this. And I'm just like, what is going on? You birds are stupid. But
they were probably going for worms.
that's what happened. There was a worm out on the turf yesterday.
Poor confused worm.
I know, I stepped on him, that's why. It's because I stepped and then I kicked because I was doing a sprint, and he flew up and over my head and in front of me. And he had a chunk taken out of him because of my cleat. Whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, it's into my day because here comes my train, so yeah. Like, subscribe, look up left-wing extremism on Wikipedia. It's kind of weird.